Hi everyone, so in today's video I'm going to be doing a little explaining of who Zayden's real father is. So I never really got into this with anybody and explained who his real dad is, because everyone just assumes that my husband is his dad, but his real dad actually passed away. So he passed away 5 years ago, a week before I gave birth to my son. So what happened is he was visiting some family members, and while he was visiting them he was fixing his car window, and his window would not roll up, and it was gonna snow and it was cold outside, so he was trying to get it to roll up. And while they were outside doing that, him and his friend could hear some arguing and some stuff going on, so they went to go check on it, and they saw a guy and a girl fighting. And at first they didn't bother to do anything, they just left it alone and continued on working on the car. But then they saw it starting to get physical, and Moises decided that something needed to be done. He couldn't handle hearing what was happening between this man and this woman, so he ran over to go help her. And he tried to stop the man from what he was trying. He was beating her up, and him and the man confronted each other, and Moises was trying to protect the girl from him doing anything to her. And for that, without him knowing, the guy pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the neck, and he went running away to tell his friend that he had a knife and he had been stabbed, and he collapsed to the ground and he died. The man left, the girl left, and it was just a big mess. And I was at home at this time. I got a phone call from his sister telling me that her brother had passed away, and kind of a little bit of what happened. So I was gonna drive up to there. It actually happened where I live now, just up the street from us actually. And so we had about a half an hour to a 40-minute drive to get to where all of this was happening. And I didn't believe it at first. I was in denial of it, and I kept praying on the way up there, saying it's not true, this didn't really happen. And right before we even turned in to where this all happened, my mom decided she wasn't going to take me there. She decided to turn around, and it wasn't best that I see it or any of that. So she took me to the hospital, and I had already gone into labor, and they had to give me medicine to stop all of that. And during that whole week, it was a Friday night that this happened, that whole week I was in labor and going to the funeral and all the services and everything, and it was really hard. And during that whole time, I didn't really understand or comprehend exactly what had happened. I still didn't get it in my head. And I remember being at the viewing and him lying on the table, and I was just sitting there, and I couldn't put it in my head that this had really happened. It was just, I was in shock. That whole week I was in shock. It just didn't feel right to me, and I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I didn't do any of that. And keep in mind that during this time I was in labor, and I just was on medicine to keep me from having the baby from dilating until it was time. Anyways, at the viewing, I remember asking his sister if I could go just hug him one last time. And when I laid up against him to hug him, he was just hard and cold, and there was no life to him. And I think that's when it truly hit me that he was no longer here and that he was gone. And I went home, and I couldn't stop crying. It was just, I was a wreck. And the last day of the services, when we were eating, and I don't even remember exactly what we did that last day for the services. It was the next Friday. I went to the hospital right afterwards, and they already had a room ready for me, and I gave birth to our son. And that was probably the hardest thing I have ever done in my life, was have a child at 17 years old alone, knowing just that week that his dad was killed. And it's still hard for me this day. I mean, I am married, I have kids and a family, but it still hurts to know that this person was taken out of our lives for no reason at all, no reason whatsoever. And he was doing it to save somebody else. And I always make sure that Zayden knows and understands that his daddy Mo died saving someone. His daddy Mo is a hero, and I will always make sure that he knows that, and he knows what happened to his dad, and he knows daddy Mo's in the sky. And so that first year we went to court, we dealt with all of that, and the man, I believe, I'm not even sure exactly what happened with that. I know he got out of it. He was on probation for it, and he had federal charges, and they took over from there. So he got released from the murder of Moises, and that was another hard thing to get by, to understand how like someone can just take a life and it'd be okay, like no consequences whatsoever. But we moved on from it, and from that first year on, every year we always let 21 balloons go. He was 21 years old when he died, so we let 21 purple and green balloons go, and we get a little cake or a cupcake for Zayden to blow the candles out for him and sing happy birthday to him and all of that. Just have him a little party, and it's something for him to remember him by, and I will continue to do it every single year until I can't anymore, because I want him to know that this is something that we do and a tradition we keep going for him, because we don't really have a place to go see him. We don't really have any of that, so we try to keep that for him. I do know that he goes with his grandmother, and she has buried some of the ashes in a cemetery, I believe, and he goes and he visits him there every once in a while. But I try to keep this as a tradition on this side of the family to do, just so he has that to just keep going for the rest of his life. So tomorrow is his birthday. Tomorrow is March 19th, and we're gonna go order balloons, and then downtown on the plaza, where we've done it every year in my town, we let go of 21 balloons, because that's a place that him and I used to always go and hang out, and he just loved being there. So I keep it just there, and everyone who wants to go is always invited, so we always keep it open for whoever wants to be a part of it. Everyone always knows that that's something we will always do. So this year my husband and my stepson actually get to be there, and they've never been a part of it because my husband always has had to work, or my stepson isn't with us, so it never works out in our favor for them to be there. So this year they get to see what all of this is all about, and I think it's gonna be great for my stepson to understand exactly what we do for his brother's dad, and for my husband to be a part of it and to see, because he's very open and accepting to this whole situation, because he understands that it still bothers me and still affects us, and we still do all of this and keep it going, although my son still calls him dad, and Zayden thinks that that's dad, and then there's daddy Mo in the sky. He just accepts it and tries to encourage us to keep his memory alive for Zayden. So I'm very grateful for that. But a video will be up tomorrow of the balloon release and the cake and all of that, so you guys can see it and see exactly what it is that we do for him. And yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to explain a little bit of who he was and our lives in that, so everyone can understand a little bit better of things when Zayden does talk about daddy Mo, because he does mention it, and I've gotten it a few times, and I wasn't sure if everyone knows, because I know there's people that have just came into our lives recently and who are just starting to watch my channel and don't really understand exactly what happened. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it gives you a better insight to our lives. If you have any questions, just comment down below and I will answer them, and stay tuned for the balloon release tomorrow. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.